Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Hitting the Field Off Season, episode 6. I am your host, Kenny Harris. NBA Finals, my favorite time of year, and we're here to get you set. We're going to get you everything you need to know to enjoy this amazing series between the Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks. We got a brief preview of the series. We have betting odds, and we have top 5 players coming up in this series. Matthew Bracker, my first guest, will get us started with what to expect, top storylines. So don't move. It's Hitting the Field, episode 6, starting right now. And we're back. Matthew, thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
We got a good series to talk about here between the Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks. We've had a great playoff so far. Just give me a little summary of how the Mavericks got to where they are to be ready to compete for the championship.
Well, this road for the Mavericks to get here, I think, was really tough because they came into the playoffs as the 5th seed, right? But let's just get right into it. Round 1, we saw the Mavericks playing the Clippers, and they eventually beat them in 6 games, right? And I thought the Clippers had a pretty solid year. I thought the James Harden trade was a pretty good one. But Kawhi, he only played in 2 games this series, and I thought he actually got on the court a bit this year, which this year he played the most games since he's become a Clipper. But I don't think the Clippers shot that efficiently. And Kawhi's presence, like I said, he only played 2 games. I think it was definitely missed. The Mavericks, they hit some big time shots, and the Clippers eventually lost. I think the Clippers should blow it all up, but that's a story for another time. But then round 2, the semis, right? The Mavericks faced the Thunder, who were the 1 seed coming into the playoffs, and I always thought that this was going to be a tough series. And I honestly had Oklahoma moving on because Shea has turned into one of the best players in the NBA. This year he averaged 36 and 5, which is just amazing. And then you give him Chet, who would have been Rookie of the Year if Wemby wasn't born. Now OKC, they did blow out the Mavericks in game 1, but the Mavs, they bounced back in game 2 thanks to some clutch shooting, and eventually they would go on and send OKC home in 6. And then in the conference finals, the Mavs played the Timberwolves, and let's be honest, they swept them, which I really didn't expect because I truly bought into the Ant hype. He forced his way into superstardom this year, and Ant kept telling him to bring it, and they brought it. The Mavs won some close games in game 1 and 2, but after game 2, it just kind of felt like the Wolves just gave up on this series, and I think game 5 they were losing like 69-40 at halftime, which they just got blown out in front of their home crowd. I think the Wolves are going to be contenders for a long time, but I think Ant just needs a little more experience. But yeah, the Mavs, they finished it up, and now they find themselves playing the Celtics. And I think some takeaways from this journey is that the Mavericks, they have been the lower seed in every single game, and they will be in the finals. I think they're road warriors. They won 7 road games this postseason, and Irving and Doncic have just been making clutch play after clutch play. I love how Irving, he uses his handles to get into the paint, and Doncic this postseason, he's basically averaging a triple-double. I like the Mavericks. I think they're going to win it all, but that's how we got here.
Yes, sir. We've seen some great things out of Dallas. Again, they slayed a lot of giants to get here. Young talent for sure. The West is proving to be very heavy. Yes. And now I'm going to talk about the Eastern Conference participants, the Boston Celtics. They were the best team record-wise in the NBA this year. Just phenomenal roster, deep team. In the first round, they went against the Miami Heat, a foe they've had for some few years now. But the Heat were missing Jimmy Butler, a star player, and the Celtics routed them in 5 games. Yeah. The Celtics were able to shoot the 3 ball pretty well because that's one of their strengths, and they held Miami below their averages, which is, again, way easier when you're missing star talent. They took care of business. You're the 1 seed. You're supposed to make easy money of the 8th seed. That's exactly what we expected. Derek White, phenomenal, one of the best role players in the NBA, had a 38-point game in this series with 6 no, 8 threes. I'm sorry. Just incredible game four performance from him. Moved on to the second round where they would face the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were also injured. This has been a little bit of a talking point for the Celtics in this playoff
Yeah.
run. It's kind of putting a damper on the success they've had, but Cleveland was coming out of a hard fought 7 game series with our Orlando Magic, and they were just a little beat up. They were missing Jared Allen. Donovan Mitchell was in and out,
Pretty hurt, yeah.
and they just couldn't keep up. It was another 5 game series for the Celtics. By this series, I was a little worried about the Celtics because I felt they hadn't been battle tested. And I was just a little worried if they were getting too comfortable, if they hadn't met somebody that was really like a worthy opponent for them. And when they got to the conference finals, they had a scrappy Indiana Pacers team that made them work. I would say it was their best challenge the entire Eastern playoff.
I agree.
And that ended in a sweep. So that just tells you what we're dealing with these Boston Celtics. I mean, every game was close except for one. I will give the Pacers that. And credit to the Boston Celtics defense. I mean, they had role players stepping up in the clutch. Drew Holiday, clutch steals. Jaylen Brown, clutch shot making. Al Horford, an explosive game from the old man. I mean, that's just what you love to see in the playoffs. You love seeing guys just step out of their normal averages and rising to the occasion. Jaylen Brown was able to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Mm-hmm. And I think the Pacers series was also where we saw Jason Tatum get into a rhythm, because there was also a lot of talk about him being passive. Jaylen Brown was kind of leading their offense, but Jason Tatum averaged 30 points per game in the series. So he is ready for playoff time, and he always has been. He's ready to shut up the haters, and now we get to see him in the finals again. So, Matthew, I want to ask you, what is a storyline that stands out to you with these two teams facing off?
Well, I think the most obvious one of the most talked about, is this Kyrie storyline, right? Kyrie has had a career rooted in controversy. We've all heard it. You know, the flat earth stuff, the anti-vax stuff. It's for the most part of his career, Kyrie has been painted as a villain. And everywhere he's been, it seems like, everything's fallen apart. And what does he do? He leaves, right? He left the Cavs, he left the Nets, and most infamously, he left the Celtics months after telling them that he wants to be there, he wants to play his career there, and then he just left without saying a word. And it put a bad taste in a lot of these Boston fans' mouths. And Boston fans, they can be pretty passionate. When Kyrie returned and he lit the stage and he's cleansing the energy in the stadium, it left a bad taste in the mouth. When he returned and wiped his shoes at center court, that left such a bad taste. It got a couple fans arrested. The chants, the verbal assaults, Kyrie flipping off the crowd. This is on it. It's like a bitter rivalry between two teams. Except here, it's the entire the entire state of Massachusetts and Kyrie Irving. But I think that this rivalry it's only going to peak in the finals, right? This is going to be on a national stage, a global stage. And it's really just going to showcase how tough, this Mavericks team is when it comes to the noise, and how loud these Boston fans can get, right? I think the Mavs are going to be able to work through it because, they beat Anthony Edwards, who I think is one of the toughest players in the league when it comes to mental play and getting into the head of, his opposition. And like I said, they're road warriors, but I still think it's going to be their biggest test. Like I said, Boston sports fans are very passionate about their teams. So they're going to be loud, and I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be interesting. Personally, game one is on my birthday, actually. So it would be the ultimate gift to me for the Celtics to lose the finals, but that's just me. But yeah.
Absolutely. Boston is one of those sports cities that if you're a fan, you love it. If you're visiting and you're on that road, that is a tough place to go and get a win. The Celtics have had a great home playoff record for the last few years now. A storyline that I'm really interested to see play out is the star power that we're looking at right now with Jason Tatum and his co-star Jaylen Brown. They're both 26, 27 years old. And then we have a 25-year-old Luka Doncic who's stepping over the league and telling you, no, it's my time. Jokic, that's fine, but it's me right now. And I think we're seeing the next guy in our league, running for that top spot
Next
because
place. Yeah.
this is a finals without LeBron, without Steph Curry, without Kevin Durant. So those guys are getting up there in age, and Luka Doncic is looking around and saying, "I can be that next guy," and Jason
Right.
Tatum saying, "I can be that next guy." So I want to see who is really going to lock in and take that next step into superstardom because Jason Tatum had the success early. He peaked very early, Eastern Conference Finals run,
Right.
his rookie year, going toe to toe with LeBron James, who was just Superman that year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that set the bar. And now Jason Tatum's kind of chasing himself. And it's been very hard these last few years because he's just run into a lot of talent and just
Yeah.
misfortune.
The
Same thing with
finals
Luka
lost.
Doncic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now Jason Tatum gets a chance to avenge that finals loss and bring a title back to a city that is very accustomed to winning
Mhm.
championships. They have 17 of the 77
Mhm.
championships that have been given out in this league. So that's one of the things I'm very excited for, as well as the Kyrie redemption arc.
Yeah.
It's,
No,
it's
me
been
too, for
beautiful to
sure.
watch.
Yeah.
Matthew, thank you for your time. Please enjoy these finals because I'm telling you, it's going to be a good one. Um, Coming up, we have some betting odds with my friend Andrew. We're going to get you guys ready on what to expect and how to make some money in these finals. So don't go anywhere. After this commercial break, we're coming back at you.
So, Tyler Brown, right? It says in my notes you're a Oklahoma fan.
That is correct.
So, let me ask you, bud. Is Texas back?
All right, I put on a brave face a lot, but this year, I'm really scared that they are, man. Okay, they just beat Alabama. They're gonna be top 4 in the rankings. And last year, they beat us 48-0.
Yeah.
It was humiliating. We're the Oklahoma Sooners. We were the best ever. We were talk of the town. We had Baker, Kyler, and Jalen 3 years in a row. And now, are we good? I don't know. We haven't won a national title since 2000. We're number 18, I think, and nothing matters, dude.
Sometimes we build up these walls thinking they're impenetrable. But sometimes you have to knock these walls down to build up bigger and stronger ones. And you got to be tough through that. It's hard being an Oklahoma fan at this time, but grass is always going to be greener on the other side of the hill, buddy.
Is it? I cannot live through a Texas national championship. I can't. I'll never recover.
Do you want to talk about Lincoln Riley?
What'd you just say to me?
I just want to know if you want to talk about Lincoln Riley.
And welcome back to Hitting the Field off season. I'm here with my friend Andrew, and we're going to talk betting odds for this NBA Finals. Andrew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. As you can see, I got my vintage Kyrie jersey
yeah.
at this point. Yeah, got some sunflower seeds at hand as well. So what more could a man really ask for when the NBA Finals are? Well, tonight, by the time this is coming out. But yeah, looking forward to talk some betting lines with you, Kenny.
Yes, that's the life right there. Sunflower seeds and Kyrie. Now, we've got a lot of high scorers that just know how to finesse with the ball in this series. And we're going to talk some points. So with Luka Doncic, over under 30.5 points per game this series. What are you feeling?
I'm gonna have to say over. Or sorry, I wrote down under, but
a late flip?
should I do a late flip? I wrote down under in the rundown, but I think I'm gonna have to do a little flip. Yeah. The reason being is because Luka Doncic scored, I believe, over 32 points per game last series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but he wasn't even top 5 in minutes across everybody who performed in the conference finals. So just for clarity, but I thought under initially just because of the fact that it's really going to have to be a team effort from Dallas, especially on the offensive end. But I think I don't know, man. That one's kind of a tough one, just because it's, in my opinion, this series is going to really come down to coaching and whatever for this Dallas offense's case for Jason Kidd, whatever he comes up with, he could be running plays literally for just Luka to go crazy with assists, and we won't know until we find out. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go lower on that one.
I definitely see where you're coming from because every series for the Mavericks was played a little bit different. I think in that Clippers series, we saw a lot of Kyrie, and OKC, we saw a lot of the Luka pick and roll.
Hmm.
And it wasn't necessarily to force the switches, it was more for the lob. And in Minnesota, we saw them trying to isolate poor Rudy Gobert. We've all seen the clip.
Hmm.
They're trying to get
Yeah.
that big out there on an island. I'm going to have to go over for Luka Doncic because he's
Hmm.
just been absolutely phenomenal this playoff run, and he's doing it hurt. So
Yeah,
I
that's true.
I think with this week he's had off or something like that, he's had like a week and a half off. He's rested his body, and I just with that pick and roll, man, that high screen and roll, I don't think Porzingis, Al Horford, I don't think you can stop him. You can only hope that you can make him pass the ball in the game. He's one of the best passers in the game, so I have to go
Mhm.
over with Luka
I think
Doncic.
also something to consider is obviously Boston is I think it was the second best defense in the NBA during the
Mm-hmm.
regular season, but in terms of defense, what really scares me for someone who's rooting for Dallas is that perimeter defense. And when you have somebody like Luca running point and you have Kyrie as a second option, that gives you hope if you're rooting for Dallas. But I mean, Derek White, Drew Holiday, two of the best defenders. I believe both made all defensive second team this season. So that's always something to, look out for. But I think Luca's somebody who really just doesn't care if he scores. Like he's just there to vibe. I mean, he really is.
Mm-hmm.
But if he gets his points, he gets his points. All he cares about is getting the W at this point. And I see him. I see if we're talking about assists on the other hand with Luca, I would hit the over on that. I think he could average a double double for sure. Like
Mm-hmm.
an 11-point double double easily.
We'll have to wait and see. Now,
Hmm.
going over to the Celtics, Jason Tatum, the other young star that is leading his team to victory at the moment. His odds to get 27 and a half points per game, the over minus 102, the under minus 128. How are you feeling? Over under?
I'm gonna hit the under on this one. And the reason being is because he doesn't seem to be the most scoring heavy against an offense that is likely to double team, that is likely to just suffocate you. And with somebody like Kyrie, whose defense has stepped up just that much in the postseason, especially in the latter half of it, I think that could be, that could definitely be a factor. I do as well see him as somebody who could dish the ball out. He's averaging like what, 6 assists almost in since the Western Conference Finals or the Eastern Conference Finals, excuse me. But yeah, I think again, kind of with the offensive scheme that Boston might have to go with, I think it's going to be more of a team effort than it's going to be like just Tatum carrying. Because at the end of the day, also anybody on that team could go for 30. So, that's kind of a scary sight to see, but I think he's going to average under 27.
Absolutely. With an offense filled with as many weapons like the Boston Celtics, it's hard to really say that somebody's going to dominate their scoring. So I'm with you on that. I got under for 27 and a half just
Hmm.
because I feel like he's going to have to kind of do what we've seen LeBron do in the past, where you got to do a little bit of everything, move the ball, rebound, play defense. It's going to
Hmm.
require a little bit more energy out of him. So I could see him deferring some shots here and
Hmm.
there, kicking it out
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
Derek White, who's been on fire. Al Horford even heated up in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's very old, but he's still
He's still
got
there.
it.
7 for 12 from three. Like that's no joke.
And
Can
Jaylen Brown
play
has been so aggressive this year.
for
I
sure.
I
Yeah.
love to see the way he's playing. He's earning that paycheck for sure. So I'm
Jalen
going under with
Brown?
Jason Tatum. Oh yeah, 300 milli. I see it.
He's
I see
earning
it.
that paycheck.
I see it.
I've never heard anyone say that. Are you a Celtics fan? You're not, right?
Nah, nah. But
So that's even crazier.
I
Like
show love. I show love. I'm a lover.
he's making the most in NBA history. You know that, right?
He's backing it up. Look where his team is right now.
He's backing it. He didn't even average the most points per game as for the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he got the trophy. But
Well,
would you say the same thing about like an actual top 10, top 15 player?
I mean,
Like if Luca had that bag, I don't understand it, but
well, Luka's
it's
about to
coming
get
up
that bag.
soon. It's coming
Yeah.
up soon,
So
yeah.
I'll let Jaylen Brown enjoy his
Oh, for
little
sure.
cash right now
He,
before Luka Doncic gets $100 billion with the
yeah.
Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, he can retire. His whole bloodline doesn't have to work a day in its life. No more Harvard lessons.
Life is good. Kyrie Irving, former Celtic, current
Hmm.
Maverick, all-time winner. his line, 23.5 points per game for this series. He's been up and down in this playoffs a little bit.
Mhm.
So what are you feeling?
I don't know if you saw in the doc, I did change my answer. So I did a little flip-de-doo for Luca. I'll do the same for his partner in crime and Kyrie. I'm hitting the under. The reason being, I think again, it's gonna come down to like deflecting, making the right play. In the Western Conference Finals, he was killing everybody and he still averaged 27 points per game, which is a lot, obviously. But I just don't know if it's gonna translate the same way. Like I understand also that Minnesota's defense, especially perimeter debatable, whatever, but Minnesota's defense was ranked first in the NBA. It just didn't seem to matter at all against the Mavericks, though. So I don't know if it's gonna be the same process of dismantling, but at the same time, it's like, is Kyrie really going to be the benefactor of all of those like kick out passes from Luca? Is someone like PJ Washington, like Derrick Jones Jr. Are they going to step up in the scoring column as well? Because Derrick Jones against OKC, he was averaging like 19 points a game, and then it kind of fell off against Minnesota. So is that going to continue? That's always a little factor I want to consider. But I'm just going to play it safe here. Plus, I'll keep the balance steady for the Mavericks lines. If I'm gonna flip Luca, I'll flip Kyrie. I'm gonna stick with the under, but I think he's gonna have a lot more impact in the game outside of just scoring.
This guy's just doing flips all over my segment. He's flipping this way, flipping that way. I don't know how I feel about that. I understand what you're saying though, because Dallas, they've had a new hero pretty much every series, whether it's
Yeah.
Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, or PJ Washington with the clutch shots against the
Mhm.
Clippers. So their offense is very fluid, which is kind of how the Celtics offense is. So it's hard to say. I'm gonna go over with Kyrie Irving. I just think he really wants this moment. He's a playoff riser. He's gonna be
And
going
it's
into
against
that Boston.
Boston.
Yeah,
But here's my thing with the little implications of Boston. Like when he plays in Boston, he's 0-10 in the last 10 games that he's had against Boston. And like since then, that's been since he stepped on Lucky, if we remember that
Yeah.
in Brooklyn. Yeah. So I don't know exactly his stats against Boston in his last few appearances there, but I think, man, like those fans, they're rowdy as is, let alone when Kyrie's there, let alone when it's postseason, let alone the damn finals.
Hmm.
Like I feel like a little bit like has to get into his head, but at the same time, I feel like he's done with all the like stepping on Lucky, like flipping people off in the crowd. I feel like he's gonna like tap into himself, lock down on defense, make sure his brothers in blue eat, and then like he's going to save his own scoring for, just to get the offense flowing. I don't think it's going to be something he's going to prioritize.
You're right. You're right. But man, I just feel like he's so like level-headed right now, and I think he's got something waiting for us. I definitely wouldn't want to be
I
in front of
think,
him fourth quarter.
oh, for sure. I think if it comes down to it and like Celtics fans are getting heated, like throwing water bottles at him, he's going to hit him with like, I pray for you guys. Like he's not gonna
Absolutely.
backfire like he used to, bro. He's gonna hit him with some blessing, with some spell, and like world peace will take over the
Absolutely.
earth now. He's a different man. I don't know what happened to him, but guess they ran out of
Last
sage in Dallas.
last but not least, Jaylen Brown. He's had phenomenal playoffs. We were just talking about him.
Mhm.
His line is at 23.5 points per game for this series. Over under.
I'm running with the over. And the reason being is because I think he's going to be one of those benefactors that we were talking about, in particular with the Mavericks, excuse me, the Celtics offense. And I mean, last series he got the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which is great for him, but he put up 30 points per game. Like statistically, specifically, we're looking at half a point less than the front runner superstar in Jason Tatum. But I mean, yeah, he put up a great performance. I think if I'm Joe Mazzulla, I'm looking to play through him as much as I possibly can, just because you're expecting Jason to go crazy, obviously. But if Jaylen Brown's putting up like, a 40 piece like on a given damn Tuesday, like, you want to take advantage of it as much as you want. So also given the fact that it's like 23 and a half doesn't seem like that much for Jaylen Brown. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's something that could be like his worst performance, honestly. Like, and in a good series, that could be his worst performance, 23, 24 points.
I agree with you. I picked the over as well. He's he's come to play, and
Mhm.
I think this series especially is going to be it's going to be about the other people. It's not going to be about the
Oh, yeah.
one versus the one. We know that those guys are putting in 30, 9, 8, they're coming to play every game. They're tying their shoes, right? So it's going to be about guys 2 through 5 and then 6 through 8.
It's all about the depth.
Yep. And I think Jaylen Brown, he's going to take advantage of having that size advantage on whoever's guarding him, because it might be Luka, who's
It
not
could be
as quick.
Kyrie, or it could be like
Kyrie.
Daniel Gafford. Like you could have the 1 or the 4 guarding him, and it's still gonna be some sort of a matchup in some way, shape, or form, depending on where the ball is on the court. Like there's always something he could exploit. And especially now that he's being more aggressive, like drawing contact, he could draw fouls, get somebody like Derek Lively in foul trouble down the line. You never really know with him.
Yep. Now we're gonna do the part that's either going to age great or age terribly. I'm going to ask you what team you think will win the finals and in how many games. For Boston, a sweep plus 700 odds. Winning in 5 plus 340 odds. Winning in 6 plus 470. Boston in 7 plus 340 odds. For Dallas, a sweep plus 2,400 odds. Winning in 5 plus 1,200 odds. Dallas in 6 plus 550. Dallas in 7 plus 450. Andrew, tell the people who's winning this finals and tell them how long it's going to take.
Man, okay. Let it be known. We're gonna go into like this is gonna be a whole separate side conversation. But when I was growing up, getting into basketball, my friends compared me to Kyrie. I did not understand it because I did not play like him whatsoever. Like I'm a bigger body. I can't play like Kyrie. So I love Kyrie since I was little. I still have, I don't know if you can see it, these little wristbands that I've had ever since
You're locked in.
He left Boston and I got the jersey on. I don't know if there's any more memorabilia I could show you guys, but I've loved Kyrie since the day I've loved basketball. And seeing him to the finals against a team like Boston, I am rooting for Dallas. Let this be known to the world and right into the camera. I'm rooting for Dallas with all my heart. I want to put down $100 and get back 2,400 for a Dallas sweep. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to stick to what I've seen. Yeah. Look, man, Boston, I understand it's been an absolute cakewalk, like sunshine and rainbows, like when Puss in Boots first crossed into the dark world or whatever that was in the movie. Really good, by the way. But it's been a cakewalk for Boston, so we can't really tell how it's going to perform against a team of this caliber like Dallas, who, at least when I say this caliber, has gone against so many obstacles to get to this point, the same point that Boston has. I'm saying Boston in 6. The reason being is because if Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, I think he's the key here. If he is healthy, which he's anticipated to be by the beginning of the finals, 6 Celtics can shoot. That's terrifying. Terrifying no matter what team you're going up against. I don't care if it's the 96 Bulls. I don't care if it's the 2017 Warriors. I don't care if it's the 2024 Mavericks. Like, if you have somebody like Daniel Gafford, like Derek Lively, having to guard Kristaps, having to guard Al Horford, I don't care how mediocre they are. I don't care how old they may be. They're snipers. Al Horford just dropped 7 for 12, like I mentioned earlier. Kristaps, at any point he can go for like 5 threes. That might not seem like much, but that's a 15-point differential than if he wasn't there. You don't want to have, if I'm Jason Kidd, last thing I want is one of my big guys outside on the perimeter, and Minnesota found that out the hard way. That's not what I want if I'm Dallas, and I think that's something Boston 100% could, should, and will exploit. So unfortunately, I do believe in the little professional career or experience or whatever you might want to call it that I have. I'm gonna have to put down $100 on Boston. I'm not actually gonna do it, but like in this case, $100 for Boston to win in 6. I get back $470 in profit. I hate it. I hate it with all my heart, but I will be representing Kyrie as much as I possibly can, man.
Look into the camera and apologize to Kyrie real quick.
I'm sorry, bro. I mean, I'm still rooting for you, bro. I'll get my shoes the second I found out his contract ended with Nike. I bought a pair, bro. Like, I'm sorry.
Kyrie, we're sorry. We're sorry.
When the Mavericks, I would be happy to put down $100 and lose them. This will be the happiest I will be to go broke. Promise. Like, I'm rooting so hard for Dallas, dude. I think America wins if Boston loses. Clip this. Clip it, chat. Like, dude, I'm so... Like, this is going to be the most toxic finals we've ever seen. And I'm so excited for it. So excited for it. But I just need Dallas to win. Everyone does, bro. Like,
Kyrie Irving, we're sorry. On behalf of HTF and the University of Central Florida, we apologize. but I'm rocking with you, Kyrie. I got Dallas in 6. When you talk about their pick and roll, that high screen and roll, I think Porzingis is scared of that, bro.
I agree. That's
That's a
that's
lot
the
of
counter
pressure.
argument to what I said. I think if you can get somebody like a Daniel Gafford, like really just any of the Dallas big men to get on a roll in that pick and roll with Luka, Al Horford's not going to block that lob. Kristaps is like he's too weak to guard anyone half the size of freaking Daniel Gafford, let alone Derek Lively. He's the same height as him pretty much. Like
Oh yeah.
I hope that pick and roll comes in, dude. I
And then there's just so
pray.
many options with the shooters. Luka's gonna
Yeah,
make the right pass every time, whether it's the lob,
I
he
hope
gets
so.
gets you with a floater, kick it out to Derrick Jones Jr., who's been hitting.
Mhm.
Gafford and Lively just putting so much pressure in the paint. I can't see Al Horford holding that up. He's
Oh, he's
he's
no.
great. He's smart, but you know, athleticism wins
He's
in this
six foot
sport.
nine. If
Yeah,
Kristaps is on the bench or hurt, he's the tallest guy on the court, and he's 6'9". He's
yeah.
probably shorter than like 2 or 3 Dallas players, maybe even
And
Luca, actually.
man, and as much as the Celtics have wowed me with their 3-point shooting, I've noticed that they're a streaky team at times.
They are a
And
streaky team. Yeah,
it's fool's gold, that 3-point line. That's what they always tell you. And it's built into their offense that they got to take about 35 to 40 a game. And I've seen them hit
that's true.
12 of those. And that's not that good for 40. Like that's a lot of misses.
Hmm.
And if Dallas can get on the boards with them taking that many threes, and if they're off, that's a tough game to win for them. And we've seen
Hmm.
the defense all throughout this playoff has been crazy. During the regular season, we get 140 to 136 games and 155 to 149 with the Charlotte Hornets and Washington Wizards, teams like that. In the playoffs, guys have been hiking up their shorts and playing defense. We've had going into the fourth quarter 80 to 76 and final
Hmm.
scores of 100 to 98. Like that's the playoff basketball I love. And I don't know if Boston's going to be able to outshoot that kind of grit that they're going to be playing on the defensive end.
I think also something that gives me hope as a Boston hater is that series against Indiana, because for the most part, I think 3 of the 4 games that were played against the Pacers, the Celtics were losing at the start of the fourth. Now, at that point, obviously, like you have to critique the Pacers for their fourth quarter performances.
Absolutely.
But like Boston made those runs in the end of the fourth quarter, but what if it's against a team like Dallas that can have a run like that of its own in the fourth quarter? Hell, whenever you really want. If Boston's down at the end of the third against Dallas, that might just be wraps because
Mm-hmm.
I don't see someone like an Andrew Nemhart or like an Aaron Nesmith being taken advantage of on Dallas, especially when it like Kyrie, he's stepped up defensively, but when you have this much of a chip on your shoulder in the finals against Boston, it's going to be a little bit better. It's going to be that much better. Plus, Luka's leading the postseason in steals. He's at like over 2, maybe 2.5 at this point.
Yep.
So, there's a lot to be worried about there if you're Boston. It's just I don't like it's game 7 really feels inevitable. I don't know, but if it comes down to it, I don't know, man. It's literally just going to be a battle of who coaches better,
Yes,
who
absolutely.
comes
I was
up with the
just
better
thinking that.
scheme, because
Yep.
there's such good matchups and there's so many weaknesses, like little minute weaknesses that you could exploit if you're either team. It's just a matter of who does so and who does so better.
Absolutely. I'm
Mhm.
hoping for 7 games. I know I said it's going to end in 6, but I would love to watch 48 minutes, 7 times of these two heavyweights going
A
at it.
100%, 100%. And if it goes to game 7, which honestly isn't as far-fetched as like we're making it seem, or even like the odds kind of favor game 7. No
Yep.
matter who wins it. But dude, Twitter will be an absolute war zone if that
It's going to be
happens.
hot.
It will be so hot, steaming, dude. I'm excited. I'm like, oh man, I can't afford Dallas to lose, dude. Like I have so much trash talk to spew. Like it's insane. As a Kyrie fan, as a Lakers fan, like
Oh man.
you can't spell it out any more than it already is, dude. This is gonna be the most toxic series. It might be the best final series we've seen in a like since 2016.
Yep.
Probably like easily. Like there's not been any other game 7s, and there isn't as much at stake, I think, than there's been in previous finals.
Well, Andrew, get your popcorn ready. Get those
Dude.
Twitter fingers warmed up because it's finals basketball.
Get those
Now,
sunflower seeds ready.
get the sunflower seeds on deck. When we come back, We'll be
Oof.
talking top 5 players to watch in these finals. We're going to get Matthew back in here. We're going to get Nick in here. So don't go anywhere.
Jack, buddy, why are you here?
I don't really understand why I'm here. I got called a delusional fan. I just don't understand why I'm delusional if I think Kirk Cousins had the best mustache in the league.
Well, Jack, buddy, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but I don't think anybody looks cool in handlebars.
But they're back, man. They're back.
They're not. They're not. Sometimes you just got to face the hard truth. It's right there in front of you. All these people, they're calling you delusional, but sometimes you got to worry about, am I projecting? Is it me? And in this
Let me
case,
tell you something, bud. It could never be me. Anything I say is factual and truth, and that's why the Vikings are going 16-1 this year.
organization, you have to look at your roster and say, I've had Kirk O'Duggins for 6 years. Maybe it's time to move on.
There is no moving on from Perk Thuggins and Justin Jefferson.
Do you think that maybe this all started just because of a little disappointment?
Nothing has started. This is how I live, and I am not delusional.
And we're back. We're talking NBA Finals. We're talking top 5s only. Dallas Mavericks, Boston Celtics. I'm here with Matthew. I'm here with Nick. I'm here with Andrew. We got a good series. I know I keep saying it, but I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
We really do.
This is gonna be good.
And I got some names for y'all, and I want y'all to just tell me, rank them 1 to 5. We got Luka Doncic, we got Jaylen Brown, we got Kyrie Irving, we got Jason Tatum, and we got Drew Holiday. So we got the big twos, and then a sleeper veteran guy. Let's start with Nick. Nick, give me your top 5 and just who's your favorite?
So the big two, Luca, Kyrie, we got Jason and JB, Jaylen Brown. I think Derek White is a sleeper in the series. I think if you go either a Derek White or I think Derek Lively. Hopefully, I think either way they're going to be big in that series. That big against Porzingis needs to go off. Yeah, I say it's going to rely on the role player, the bench players, all of them. They need to step up, and yeah.
I like that because everybody goes into the finals talking about the star players, and that makes sense because that's who got you there. But when it comes time to winning those games, you're going to need those guys like a Drew Holiday or like a Derek White that can get hot from 3. Andrew, what are you thinking?
I like the list overall. I like who's featured in it, but I don't know about the order. The reason I say that is because I personally think Jason Tatum should have won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He averaged more points, if I'm not mistaken, more rebounds and assists as well compared to Jaylen Brown. Obviously, Jaylen Brown stepped up with regards to his role, but I don't know if he was the most important factor. So based on that, and then based on how I think the finals will pan out, I would have Luka at 1. I feel like that's a no-brainer at this point. I would have Jason Tatum at 2, and then probably Jaylen Brown 3, Kyrie 4. I'm not gonna lie, Derek Lively 5, because yeah, he's been incredible, and like the system is just set up so perfectly for someone like him to succeed. I believe with the pick and rolls, with the lob threat, with the transition threat. He's not going to miss a single shot. Like it's going to be straight up dunks, so there's that. But I think with regards to value to the team, I think he could definitely be put in there. But honestly, I don't mind the Drew Holiday pick at all either.
Yeah.
You have the potential to drop like 20 points, 10 assists, as we saw in his last finals appearance just 3 years ago in Milwaukee. And same thing with Derek White. You've got this like amazing playmaker, slept on playmaker, slept on scorer, one of the best defenders in the league. I think somebody else who could low-key slip into that 5 if it pans out in his way, Kristaps. Because if he gets shooting, if he gets, Same thing with the lob threat, kind of like what you could get with a Daniel Gafford with just really any big man. But on top of the fact that he can stretch the floor, you can play 5 out with the Celtics. And then if Kristaps is going to make 5, 7 threes in the game, you're set. I don't know if that's going to happen consistently, however, with Kristaps, playing the way that we think he could, but he could sneak into that top 5 and I wouldn't mind it. But I do respect the list. I do like the list.
You're right. And Dallas hasn't had to face a 5-out offense in their playoff run. Minnesota has the big two down there, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. They're not sitting in the corner. You're not putting Rudy in the corner. So spacing out that defense is something Dallas is going to have to adjust to. I just want to give a little bit more context for my top 5. I got Luka at number 1 because he's just been phenomenal. The playmaking, the passing, the taking over, the getting a bucket when everybody in the arena knows he needs to get a bucket and he gets it anyway. I mean, this guy can throw a floater from half court. I just love watching Luka Doncic play basketball. It makes me happy. It makes my day. Number 2, I had Jaylen Brown because he's kind of stepped up for Jason Tatum, at least in the first 2 rounds. Jason Tatum is getting his numbers, and he's absolutely the reason why they're winning games. But in those moments when they need a bucket, like I was talking about with Luka Doncic, I've seen Jaylen Brown get those buckets that either silence the crowd or get TD Garden on their feet, whether it's an and one dunk or a tough and one layup or, a big shot 3 over a defender. I've been seeing him step up in those moments. So I gave him the number 2. I'll show him love there. And then number 3 for Kyrie, kind of a similar position to Jaylen Brown. He's just another weapon that you have to worry about once you think you've neutralized the number 1 guy. I mean, this is a guy that's been a number 1 guy before. And now you have him with less responsibilities on offense. That's lethal. That's very lethal, especially at a time like this. And I gave Jason Tatum the 4 spot. He doesn't watch. He might watch. He might see this to motivate him. Maybe I'll get under his skin and he'll tighten up. But
Please don't.
I just want to see him get to that superstardom rare air because he's been bubbling at that. He's a superstar. He's not ready yet. He peaked early in his career. And I think if he can come out in this series and just own it from the opening tip, I will apologize to Jason Tatum. I will send him a letter and tell him that I was wrong and that he deserves to be top 2 and maybe he's not 2. And then number 5,
he's definitely
Holiday.
2.
Yeah. Don't do that.
He's at best 2. Like
maybe
he's averaging 32 and 10.
Maybe. And then Jrue Holiday, number 5. I put him at number 5 because he has his work cut out for him this series by far. He's going to have the tough assignments of slowing down a Kyrie Irving when he's hot, or slowing down a Luka Doncic when maybe the stars are in foul trouble or they're tired, they're trying to save them for offense. They don't want them defending the top guy and maybe draw a foul. Jrue Holiday's going to have his work cut out for him, and he's a winner. He's played Team USA basketball. He's won a championship with Giannis and the Bucks in 2021. He was a key part in that, and he's ready. This is his time. Now, Matthew, let's hear your top 5. Close it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, to start, you got a solid list there. And what I noticed is it really is with this finals, it's definitely going to be a very small ball, finals. Like there's not really a dominant big man, right? Al Horford, career-wise, yeah, but he's not the same Al Horford he used to be. And Kristaps, he might not even play. Who knows? So
right.
I do like your list, but again, the order is a little wrong. And I'll tell you why. I think I have Luka at number 1, obviously. He's been that guy. But number 2, I'm gonna say the second most important player in this series is Kyrie Irving. And here's why. I know we talked in the first segment about how monumental of a series this is going to be, honestly, for his career, right? Boston fans aren't going to let up. I think that this rivalry that the two of them created is really going to dictate some of these games at TD Garden. And I think Kyrie's ability to mentally adjust to that, and the team itself, because they're going to hear it too. These Boston fans are going to be rowdy. So I think Kyrie's ability to mentally, get over that and keep playing makes him a very important player in the series. I like your, reasoning with Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum. I think Jaylen Brown has stepped up in a big way. But Jason has his face on the chips and the billboard. He's the face of this team, and he's lost, a finals already being on this team. He's 0-1 in the finals. And I think he has this chip on his shoulder to win one. So I think I would put him in number 3 and then Jaylen Brown at number 4. But I get your reasoning. I do like it. And Drew Holiday at number 5, I love Drew Holiday, but I think that one of these big men is going to need to step up and dominate. And I think that could be Kristaps if he plays. If he doesn't, maybe Al Horford can get involved. And but I heard Kristaps is at least going to play in game 1 or something. Like he's getting a bit better. So yeah, I put Kristaps in number 4.
He's back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good. Then
he's been on the fence since like game 3 of the
he's
Pacers
playing.
series.
That's my list.
Yeah. I think they announced, I saw today that he's good for game 1. Like, I think it's official.
Wow.
He's there game 1.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough.
That's what we want.
PJ and Gafford are
No, it's not. Let me tell you now. No, it's not. That's not what we want.
I don't know.
Yeah. You guys all have made great points. There was something that Matthew had said earlier. I can't remember. Can you give me your top 5 one more time?
My top 5. I got Luka, Kyrie, Jason, Jaylen, and Kristaps.
Okay, it was the Kyrie thing. You were talking about how this is a monumental moment for him, and it really is the most important chapter in his book of an NBA career, because not only would it be taking down a team that has a lot of bad blood for him, but this is his chance to win a championship without LeBron James. And a big reason for him going to Boston was because he didn't want to be in LeBron's shadow, and he felt that he could, win a championship on his own doing. Now, obviously, he's had the help of another phenomenal all-time
talent. I was about to say,
Luka
he's kind of
Doncic.
in Luka's shadow a little bit.
It's definitely not on his own, but I think him winning a finals separate from the Cleveland Cavaliers after the Brooklyn Nets debacle, after the Boston Celtics,
just after all this drama,
I think that would be a great story, and that has to be something that he's motivated by. And he seems to be very clear mentally going into these finals, and I'm excited. I've said it maybe 10,000 times in this episode alone that I'm excited. So that
it's a good matchup. Like it's a good matchup. That's why I love basketball. It's always recently it's felt like it's always someone different every year.
Yeah, there's parity now, and I think this is one of the best outcomes we could have got as fans. Looking at the playoff bracket, I mean, we didn't get Jokic, we didn't get a lot of the stars that we may have thought we would have seen. We maybe thought Minnesota could do it, but if you look at how these playoff runs have gone, these teams are, they've got momentum going at each other, and they're cruising for a bruising. So I'm excited. This is great. We're all excited. That'll do it. Thank you guys so much for your time today. That is episode 6 of HTF, the off season. Again, I'm your host, Kenny Harris. Enjoy these finals, gentlemen. I hope everyone's picks are the most correct picks in the history of pick making ever.
Not me. I said Boston in 6, not me. Go Mavs, please.
Boston in 6. Go Mavs.
You know what, Matthew? Real quick, give me a Finals MVP pick.
Finals MVP.
We've got the odds up.
You know what? I'm gonna pick. I know I've been kind of glazing on Kyrie, but I'm gonna pick Kyrie. I think he hits that shot he hit against Golden State. I think same everything.
We're very pro Kyrie over here at HTF. I like that. It's unanimous. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. That'll do it. Catch us next time. We're coming at you with the sports. See ya.